Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this 27th, Sunday the 27th. Oh, the month is almost gone, and there's not a whole lot of news happening this week, but there is a development that's happened with that. What will I call it? The third uh, interstellar object. There's a new development with that we're going to talk about toward the end of the show. But let's get on and talk about what's happening here with Trump and declaring war on China and woke tech. In his 90-point action plan, he's ignited fierce political and cultural firestorm. In a bold move that could redefine the global landscape, President Trump has unveiled an ambitious AI action plan aimed at slashing bureaucratic red tape, boosting American exports, and constructing billions of dollars of infrastructure projects to secure U.S. dominance in the field of artificial intelligence. See, right now there's this big thing going on with the BRICS nations and NATO nations right now, and they're both vying for dominance in this new architecture that's coming in place right now for the new global finance system. The BRICS want control. NATO wants control. And this new action plan's probably got everything to do with that. Control over AI is going to be very important. And so this new action plan has a lot to do with that. It says the unveiling of Trump's comprehensive AI action plan has set the stage for a new era of American innovation and global leadership. Framed as a strategic imperative, this action plan seeks to cut bureaucratic red tape, enhance export capabilities, and construct billion-dollar infrastructure projects to cement the United States in the position as in the burgeoning field of artificial intelligence. The announcement marks a pivotal moment in the Trump presidency, underscoring his administration's commitment to make AI a cornerstone of national strength and security. There you have it. The United States is going in for AI kind of in a big way, and they're actually lowering the red tape and stuff. Let's just read on a little bit further. It says, since taking office, President Donald Trump has made swift moves to dismantle existing regulations perceived as obstacles to AI's progress. On his very first day, he rescinded a significant executive order from a previous administration that had established rigorous safety and oversight standards for government AI usage. This decisive action was quickly followed by an executive order prioritizing rapid AI development and the elimination of perceived ideological biases. Okay, so this is kind of opening the door to the progression of AI coming in rather rapidly now at this point. These new technologies and stuff. I guess this is what all these data centers are going to be building pretty soon or really amount to. So we're moving in head first to this. Don't be surprised if within 24 months from now, just about everywhere you go, you see robots working. It could happen that quick. Okay, so now our fresh water around the world, it's disappearing at alarming rates. Not water. Water's not disappearing. We got the same amount of water we've always had, maybe more. From what I heard, water comes in from space. And globs of it come down, melt in from space every single day. I forget how many gallons it is that come into the Earth from space of water, but it's tremendous and it's accumulative. The Earth's not going to run out of water, but we're running out of fresh water. Purified water. This is what we're running out of. The oceans, that water, we're not running out of the saline water. We're running out of fresh water at alarming rates. It says new findings from studies over 2 decades of satellite observations reveal that Earth's continents are experiencing unprecedented fresh water loss. Evidently, it started in 2002. It was driven by climate change and unsustainable groundwater use. Now, there's the big one. What it is a lot of farmers in a lot of places, they tap into things called aquifers. And what those are is underground groundwater sources. And they just pump them out onto their fields and stuff. And they've been doing this for like 100 years. It's starting to really take its toll over the long time periods and time frames that they've been doing this. It's starting to really take its toll on the freshwater reserves around the world. So, you know what I'm thinking to myself, these companies that sell bottled water and stuff, price is going to go higher and higher. It's going to become the new oil. It'll be jig clamp it. Find yourself a piece of property out there. It's got natural water bubbling up out of it. And it's perfect. You could set up a bottled water company. And you could do all right. Seriously, guys. Now, this is what you have to do. You have to arrange yourself. When you see the world going through major changes like it's going through right now, if you're a young person out there, you've got to arrange your life to fit in with the way the world is going, right? If you're in college right now studying to be an accountant, maybe you should start thinking about jobs that aren't going to be going over to AI. Jobs that AI can't do. Jobs like in my mind, I'm thinking right off get-go, the people who repair the robots are going to have work. Because that's where we're going. We're going to a robotic society. So the guy who's able to fix the robots, he's going to have work. And so what are the fastest growing jobs out there? Well, big data specialists. They really need them. FinTech engineers. AI and machine learning specialists. Those are the robot repairer guys. They're number 3 on this list. Plus 85% needed. So, if you were a young guy, and you're going through... if I was 18 years old or something and I was going to go to college or whatever right now and everything else, I would enter into the field of perhaps robotic repair. Got thinking about things like that. So those are the world's fastest jobs. And software application developers. They're right in there next to the AI machine learning specialists. Security management specialists, data warehouse specialists, autonomous EV specialists. See, they're all people who work in the fields of these new changes that the world is making as it's going into AI. These are the fields that's going to really take off. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, we're going to get into this now, talking about these interstellar visitors that are here. And a lot of people don't know anything about this, but, all my life, I'm 63 years old. And all my life, there never was any interstellar visitors to our solar system. This is something relatively new. 2017, the first one come in from elsewhere. Is an interstellar visitor to our solar system. Never seen before. And it displayed very unusual characteristics. The first one that come in. I'll explain. It wasn't shaped like a meteor or an asteroid or a comet. It wasn't shaped like any of those things. It was shaped like a long cylindrical cigar. It was shaped like a cigar. That's not a shape you really find in nature very often, guys. It's a cigar shape. It is a shape you see in the movies and stuff, if you're watching Star Trek or Star Wars and you see that big long star cruiser going through the sky. Yeah, that's a cigar shape. And so this was a cigar shape, and that wasn't the real big point that made it unusual, the first one that come through. What really made it unusual was when it was starting to leave our solar system, it started to accelerate. And I mean really powerful acceleration. And they were at a loss. They were like, what could be causing acceleration? Because the way their minds work, they say, well, it has to be a natural object, like a rock floating in space or whatever. How in the heck is it accelerating like that? They said, well, maybe it's got some ice on it or something. Maybe the sun's hitting the ice, and maybe it's gas is coming off of the ice or something, and making it accelerate. And they come up with all these different excuses, and in the end they argued over it and argued over it, and in the end they never came up with anything to explain it, and it left our solar system. That's what happened. Two more came in. Like I say, all my life there's never been one come in. Two more has come in since then. And they're all very unusual. And the last one that's come in very recently is this one called 31 Atlas, 3i Atlas. That's the name of it. It's more unusual than all the others combined because it's done something very erratical. There's a little picture of it right there. It's done something very erratical, something very weird, just that I just heard about. Its tail. Comets have a tail. That's when a comet is flying by the sun or whatever, whatever comes off of it, gases or whatever, they come off of it and they go in behind it. And the tail's behind it because it's going forward at a very high rate of speed. And it's kind of like the sort of thing when you see somebody whizzing down the highway and say their muffler tailpipe of their car is smoking, smoke's coming out their tailpipe, the smoke's going to be behind the car. Because the car is going down the road at 70 miles an hour and the smoke's behind it, not in front of it. Right? Now you know what's unusual about this 3i Atlas. It's going 150,000 miles an hour, and the tail is in front of it. They can't explain it. They're like, what the heck? Now, it's not uncommon for comets, sometimes very unusually, they will put a tail out in front of them just a little bit. They can. But comets, this is very unusually fast. Excuse me. This is unusually fast for one thing. And because it's going so unusually fast, it's awfully hard if an object's traveling at an extreme rate of speed, like picture a bullet, for instance, traveling at an extreme rate of speed. How does the bullet put anything out in front of it? Because it's going to catch whatever it puts in front of it because of the speed it's traveling at. And that's the way with this, In order to put something out in front of it, it has to put it off like a jet. It has to jet material or eject material out in front of it at a high enough rate of speed that it equals out the velocity. But it is doing this. And it's unexplainable. But there is one very rational explanation, but it would be only if the craft is something that's not of natural origins. Because spacecraft out in space, if they want to slow down their forward momentum, they have something called thrusters. It's a rocket engine that shoots out in the direction the rocket's going in, and it'll shoot particles out in front of a rocket to try to slow a rocket down. Now that would be an explanation. To say, well, they're putting on their thrusters and they're shooting the material out in front of them with thrusters. That's a perfect explanation for what we see happening. But you can't go there really because this thing's not supposed to be a rocket or anything like that. This thing's supposed to just be a rock floating through space. So now they're in this whole thing and they're thinking, well, how in the heck is this thing doing this? Now some scientists, they're hopping right on board right up front. One of them is this Abbey Lowe. He's put out a new paper. He says, but in a new paper uploaded July 16th to the preprint server, a trio of researchers have questioned whether the comet is actually from a covert alien text sent here by an advanced, potentially aggressive extraterrestrial civilization. The research described in the new paper as a pedagogical exercise or thought experiment and they offer no clear evidence of alien involvement. Instead, they point to the comet's anomalous characteristics. And that's what I'm pointing to right now, is these anomalous characteristics of this. This is not behaving normal. And they are providing alternative theories to try to explain these anomalous characteristics. It says the study most notable, its author, A.V. Loeb, an astronomer at Harvard University who is renowned for linking extraterrestrial objects to intelligent aliens. He is the head of the Galileo project, which is attempting to detect evidence of technological signatures and UFOs. In 2023, he led a controversial expedition that claimed to have collected pieces of a possible alien tech left behind by an unconfirmed interstellar meteorite in the Pacific Ocean. These claims have since been largely debunked by outside researchers. Loeb was also the primary researcher who claimed that the unusual shape and non-gravitational acceleration of the interstellar object Oumuamua were signs that it was an alien probe. So they go on to talk about this, and so it's Loeb's, he's co-authored this paper, and it says in the new paper, Loeb wrote that if 3I Atlas is a technological artifact, it could be evidence of the dark forest hypothesis, which argues that the reason we have not found evidence of extraterrestrial life is that they are staying silent to remain invisible to potential predators or prey. The consequences, should the hypothesis turn out to be correct, could potentially be dire for humanity and would possibly require defensive measures to be undertaken, he wrote. It says most of the points laid out in the new paper relate to the unusual trajectory of 3I Atlas. The object is moving significantly faster than the only other known interstellar objects, Oumuamua and Comet Brosnov, which was spotted in 2019 and has entered the solar system at a different angle from its predecessors, approaching the sun relatively through our star's orbit, the Milky Way. Loeb wrote that the object's trajectory offers benefits to an extraterrestrial intelligence that may be using it to spy on Earth. One such benefit is that 3I Atlas will make relatively close approaches to 3 planets, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. Now this is unusual. I was talking to ChatGPT about this, and if the odds that you could just like have a asteroid or meteor or comet come through our solar system and have a close approach to all 3 of these planets, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, the odds is 1 in 20,000. That's what the odds is. 1 in 20,000. They've worked the odds out. 1 in 20,000, the odds it would make a close approach to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. And it says, and these minimum distances between the objects and these worlds could enable aliens to discreetly deploy gadgets there, he wrote. In other words, they were touching bases with 3 other planets. What's the odds of that happening if an object just comes through our solar system at random? 1 in 20,000. So that alone kind of points toward this being something very unusual, you know? It says 3I Atlas will also be hidden on the opposite side of the sun to the Earth when it reaches its closest point to our home star. This could be intentional to avoid detailed observations from Earth-based telescopes when the object is at its brightest, or when gadgets are being sent to Earth from that hidden vantage point, Loeb wrote. Which is very true. And so when you put the odds of the 1 in 20,000 of the thing making a trajectory past Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, and then when you add the odds, what's the odds of it being hidden behind the sun, which could be intentional to avoid detailed observations from Earth, that increases the odds even higher. So, what do I make of all this? Well, when you take a look at the theoretical science behind whether there's life out there, they all pretty much agree that there is life out there. So why is it so hard to believe that maybe life isn't sending probes through the universe? I mean, this thing has come from someplace else. And we've seen a whole spate of them, 3 of them now, in a very recent history, since 2017 till now, come through our solar system. How come they didn't come randomly through our solar system before that? How come now? Why are they all starting to come in here now? A lot of questions to all this with very, very few answers. I'm talking about these interstellar objects. Why are they all coming through now? Thank you guys for listening to my show. Have a nice rest of the day, and we'll catch you guys again very, very soon. Bye-bye.